All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at the KastKing fishing rod and reel combo. This was sent to me at no charge for this review. And in this review, I'm going to help you decide how to choose the right fishing rod for your fishing situation. For example, if you are in a department store, Bass Pro, Dunham's, or Mountain Granger, some other sporting goods store, you're not going to be able to take the fishing rod out and try it and then bring it back. You got to be able to make that decision right there in the store if this is going to be the right rod and reel for you. So we're going to look at that today, try to look at some things and help you make a well-educated decision on how to buy a fishing rod. So the first question you need to answer is, what are you fishing for? Are you fishing for bluegill, for crappie, for bass, for catfish? Are you going to be fishing in a pond, a lake, or a river, or out in the ocean? You got to answer that question first, because that's going to determine the type of rod and reel that you want to purchase. We're going to be fishing lakes and ponds, and so I can use the same fishing rod for both. So when I am choosing my rod, I next need to decide, what am I going to fish for? So I like to fish for bluegill, for crappie, and for bass. Occasionally I will fish for catfish, but I would not use a fishing rod like this. So for bluegill, crappie, and bass, what I'm going to look for is a rod that's going to be about 6 foot or 6 foot 6 inches, because I'm only 5'4". Now this rod right here is 6 foot 6 inches, and every rod is stamped with some very relevant, important information on it. So when you look at this fishing rod right here, you're going to see the name of the rod. You're going to see the action of the rod. You're also going to see the power of the rod, the line weight, and the lure weight. All of those are vital when making a decision on what fishing rod to purchase. Now, if I was just going to use this strictly for bluegill and for crappie, this would be an excellent rod for that. It's going to be a lightweight rod. It's going to flex real good with the pull of the fish. The reel, which we're going to take a look at next, is going to be an excellent reel for horsing those little fish in. Not going to have any issue with that. Being 6 foot 6 inches, I'm going to be able to use this as a casting rod or as a flipping rod. So it's going to be good for the smaller bluegill and for the crappie, as well as the bass. So the action on here was called a moderate to fast action, which means that I'm going to be most likely using this in a fast-paced situation where I'm casting out and reeling in, casting out, reeling in over and over again, like you do for bass, and if you was using a plastic lure for crappie or for bluegill, you're going to be constantly reeling this in, and you want the action right up here to be real light, real easy, real fast. There's also the other stamp on here which talks about the power. This is a medium power. So you've got an ultralight pole, you got an ultralight fishing rod, you got a light fishing rod, you got the medium, heavy, and heavy. So the heavier you go, the bigger the game fish. Like you want to get a larger, heavy action pole if you're fishing for catfish. If you're fishing for the bluegill, the crappie, and the bass, or even walleye, you can use a rod just like this, medium action rod, so that it does have some flexibility to it, but it also is stiff. The eyes are stainless steel eyes, and you got 8 line guides on here, and so those are going to hold up well under the pressure of a fish. And then finally, it does come in 2 pieces, which to me is really not a big deal. Personally, I prefer it to be all just one, because in time it seems like these rubber seals in here kind of give way, and then when you're casting the end of your pole out, the end of your rod out as well, and then you're gonna have to reel that in. Next thing we want to go ahead and look at is the reel. This is called an open face reel, and it does have this bail to open up the line so that you can cast it, and then that will flip over once you engage the reel. Now you are able to put the handle on either side. If you're right-handed or left-handed, you're just going to pull that screw off and pull the handle out and then screw it in on the other side. So quick and easy fix there. Right or left-handed is going to be fine. Next thing we want to look at here is the line weight. So we're going to have up to a 14-pound test on this reel. So it's going to be for smaller game fish. So right here on the top, this is where we're going to tighten and loosen our drag so that you don't break your line. That's very important that you pay attention to that. And then you also want to pay attention to the gear ratio in the reel itself. Right here, it is stamped on the reel, 5.2 semicolon 1. That means for every one time that I crank the handle, this is going to spin 5 times. Let me show you what I mean. So we're up here at the top, and I'm just going to crank it one time. The bail is on my right side. So every time I move this, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So for every one revolution of the handle, the reel spins 5.2 times. Now, when we're talking about speed and we're talking about game fish, the 5.21 is going to be on the low end of speed. These go all the way up to a 711, and 711 is going to be a super fast retrieval, whereas the 521 is going to be at the lower end. They also do go down to a 4.9, but they have every gear ratio in between there, from a 521, a 641, a 711. Those are going to be high-speed reels. This is going to be a lower-speed reel. It's going to be great for fishing for your smaller game fish like the bluegill, the crappie, and the bass, walleye, and things of that nature. I think it's a really good rod. So taking all of those things into consideration, I also do want to feel the weight of everything, and I also want to feel it in my hand. So to me, it feels like a trigger in the hand. The way that I put this on, the way that I hold my fishing rod, it feels real good. If I was in a department store and I was looking at this fishing rod right here, this graphite rod, the weight of it, the gear ratio is fine, the height of it is fine, everything that I want in a fishing rod is found right here in this. The rod and the reel, they match, they got good color. Not that the color is an issue, but if I was to put this up against another fishing rod, I think that this is the one that I would go with. I don't see any issues with it. I think that if you was to purchase one of these KastKing fishing rod and reel combos, I think that you're going to be very satisfied with it.